Hello everyone, it's Richard here from UK Versus, doing a little deck profile for the channel. So today I'm doing it a little bit differently than normal. As you can see, I'm using UVS Ultra, so I'll do it digitally. Usually I like to do my deck profiles in paper and just have the cards in front of me, but I wanted to do something a little bit different. So we've got today Paul Pheonix on the all symbol, obviously doing a punch package. And then the reason I wanted to do UVS Ultra is because once I've gone through the deck as it is, because this was built pre-Attack on Titan 2, we're then going to take a quick look at the cards in the new set and see if there's anything we want to add or change to the deck, and have a look at go through my process of updating a deck when a new set comes out. Paul Pheonix is a 629, pretty straightforward. He just has enhanced, discard one card, your attack gains stun 2. And then enhance once per turn, your kick or punch attack gets +1 damage for each committed Royal Foundation. So no defense, all gas. He just wants to punch people in the face. And that's exactly what we're doing, and we're doing it with a funny punch to the face. Not the biggest or cleverest attack lineup for this, but the funny punch was like the first thing that came to mind on this guy, and probably for a lot of people, there's a lot of mid punches. And, by the time you get to your third attack, they're going to be mostly stunned out, at which point a 6 speed is going to be pretty hard to block that's coming in for a whole bunch of damage. So, just on its face, it's going to come in for 12. And then all of a sudden, you can then give it a whole bunch more after stunning them out from Paul's face, as long as you can get through impartial checks. So, obviously, we start with 4 of the focus attack. Also has obviously a really nice deadlock, so a nice deadlock threat. Valiant Assault is the next piece. Obviously, we're discarding cards to get the stun. We want to be able to confirm our checks in order to play that focused attack on a 7. So being able to play this as second on our chain, hopefully make it hit, and then confirm we've hopefully got a 5 on top. So then get that 7 diff down. Just does everything we want. Is a nice high block. Get another mid and just, draws those 2 cards, refills our hand, gets us going. We've then got Big Fist Bash. So we're obviously playing a bit of a kendo package here. So Big Fish does Big Fist does 2 roles in this deck. So first of all, it being just a card we can conceivably play after a focus attack, because obviously once you've got 3 in your card pool, that gets -1 difficulty, so it's coming as a 3 diff for 5 damage. And if you've gone late, you could always discard 2 cards, pick up your focus attack again, and then play it once again if you've got the ability to pass those checks and you need to push that damage through. And then obviously, the all symbol doesn't have huge amount of defense, or at least I haven't put huge amounts in here. So just having access to that breaker 3 is just a very good way of saying, please stop attacking me now. So you can have to pass back, maybe overextend, at which point, your stun becomes even more relevant, and hopefully then kill them on the crackback. We then play in the other part of the Kendo package, so the double jumbo fist. So this is almost like a 1-card combo enabler for focused attack. As a 4 mid 4, pumps everything. So, does a good summon Dark Shadow impression of giving all of your other mids +1/+1. And just being able to grab one from your discard pile, stuff it into your card pool, pump this up so it becomes a 6/6, 7/7 with the pump from the other double jumbo fist, and you've now got those 2 mid attacks ready for your combo on focus attack. It also has like a nice 1 mid block, and we then got a couple of other mid punches, just rounding it out. I'm a big fan of Cat Punch. It's not big or clever, but it does do 6 damage and will draw your card if they block it. And in Paul, it's going to be a pseudo 4 speed at least, because you're going to stun 2. You can, if you've got the spare foundations, commit to give the +2 speed, but it just says either you're taking 6 or I'm going to draw yet another card. Just a bit of a role player. And then Hardened Steel, I think was, if I look at the block zones on my attacks, was just a bit of a concession to getting some low blocks. It's not exciting. That top enhance is mostly blank in this deck. It doesn't really do much, but it does have a low block. It is mid. It is a punch, and gets itself a bit of damage pump. So hopefully it's getting to that 5-6 damage. So just a bit of a role player, just filling out the rest of those block zones. I mean, you could conceivably take out the Cat Punches for more Hardened Steels just to get more low blocks on your attacks, but we're not doing a whole lot of blocking in this. We really, if we're going to block, we want to block with a big fist bash and break a 3 them and then move to our turn and kill them, hopefully. And then we've got a cheeky one of, which is a pressing the advantage, which is not a punch, it's not a kick, it's not a mid, doesn't work with it, and it is a 2 check, so it doesn't really work with anything else we've got going on. But it is funny, and I do have an obsidian version, so that's why I put a cheeky one in. You can probably cut this card and not worry about it, or just replace it with an other punch. But it is, you know, the spiritual successor to 1.3 million volts. Has that nice blitz, so it's another sort of kill condition. So it's in a way sort of focused attack number 5. It does give us a momentum out, which we don't really have too many of in the deck, and, you know, can come in for a whole lot of damage, and does get another low block in the deck. But it is a 2. It is the only 2 in the deck, but you could easily cut this. But I like having the cheeky one of just as a something to put on the end of the string and hopefully kill them with that, because they're not expecting a low attack in this deck, but probably very easily cuttable. So that's the attack package. Pretty happy with where it is. You know, our main ones are just as 4 ofs, and then, you know, the cat punch, hardened steel pressing slots are pretty negotiable and replaceable if we've got anything else to go in there. We're playing a couple of assets. So a single Psychic Spirit Glass. This maybe could be 2 of, but like, because we're very much almost playing a combo, right? We're trying to just kill them with a focused attack. We are a very telegraphed attack lineup. So just being able to have this on board and then just remove their best mid blocks, you know, if they're holding, say, a big fish bash of their own, or their barrier shields, or whatever is going to mess up our kill turn, is a nice way of sort of clearing the way. Could play a second. I think 1 is fine. And then we've got a single VME. Again, we could move this up to 2, but yeah, we don't really have a lot of momentum out, so it is 1. It is a way of getting speed. So obviously Paul gives us pseudo speed on face with the stun, but this gives us real speed and a little bit of extra damage pump. So just having a 1 of as a way of spending any momentum we do get. We then got a few actions. So a single Sugar Rush, again, could be 2. A 1 is probably fine. We don't really self-mill too much. And I do love a Sugar Rush. Again, don't know whether it's necessary in the deck, but when I'm on these symbols, I always try and find space for 1 because it's a card I really like. It does have a second enhance. I have no idea what that text says. I don't think I've ever read it. I never used it. But it's just a +2, +4 from hand they don't necessarily see coming. And does have a really nice 1 high block. And we've then got a couple of avoiding conflicts. So we've got a bunch of sort of discard payoffs. You know, we're discarding cards on face. We don't have huge amounts of them because, you know, we don't necessarily always want to be stunning 2 on everything. And, you know, often these cards can be blank if we do. We're not self-milling in that way. But just having a few things that pay off that discard a card from hand. So this is giving us that +2 damage. I don't think we ever really have good ways of triggering the -2 speed option. But, you know, it's got a nice one mid block. So, again, we could cut this for other foundations, but just wanted to. So, a lot of this stuff I'm just sort of been trying out. The deck as a whole has been pretty decent, the little testing I've done with it. But, again, you could sort of tweak a lot of these numbers. As you'll see, a lot of my foundations, there's a lot of 2s and 3s and 1s, just of where I'm sort of splitting the difference on things and trying things out. So, then we'll get to the foundations. So, we'll start with our 0 diffs. So, we got 4 Foresight. So partly just, it's the one with the low block that's good. I like a Foresight. Just being able to confirm our checks on our builds is really important. You know, just being able to go 3, 2, 1 Foresight. Or I've got a 5 on top, I can build another 1, you know. Or I've got a 3 sitting there. Okay, I'll hold off. It's just really nice. And it's just a low block on our 0 diff. And then we've got a couple of Easily Excited. Again, just sort of, and then a couple of Floating Around My Babies. So we're splitting the difference here on the block zones. Again, not Easily Excited, not hugely high impact, but we're not giving pure speed. So just a little bit of speed on the 0 diff is fine. And floating is just a bit of extra damage pump, just to push some extra damage through. We don't really use our discard pile, so removing the top 3 is never really a cost. Obviously, sometimes it can be awkward if you've got a double jumbo fist in there, because you really want to have those in there to be able to pull in when you play one. But so a couple is fine. Our 1 diffs, so we've got a couple of full on attack mode. It's just our deadlock out, really, just a way of keeping ourselves at a deadlock if we want to. Again, just a bit more damage if we need it. We've then got some card draw because we are pretty card hungry in terms of just always discarding cards from hand for Paul to stun them out. So we need ways of filling those cards back up. So we've got 3 Chivalrous, which also then can protect any key pieces we want to protect on our stage and just draws us cards. And, you know, if we're stunning them all out, giving them a card on their turn doesn't really do a lot. 4 Final Test is pretty much always on in this deck. Just being able to, you know, play an attack, discard, stun the 2, attack resolves, we then form and draw however many of these we've got on stage to fill up our hand back up. So yeah, just very, very free in this deck. A couple of Settling Old Debts. It's sort of Final Test copies 5 and 6. Sometimes we can draw this, you know, use this, maybe draw a block on their turn, but only a couple just because, you know, we're trying to kill on turn 2/turn 3, usually turn 3 with this. So it's not always turned on, but again, you know, we're very card hungry, so just having any extra card draw is helpful. A couple of resting up, so a little bit of defense and low blocks, pretty solid. I mean, our character does nothing on defense, so it's a pretty free committal in those terms. So quite often we can turn on that -3. Then yeah, just a little bit of speed hate. Maybe you want more in there, but capture the targets, really nice. I mean, you could even consider cutting the resting ups for more of these, just because, you know, we're trying to play effectively a 7 diff on that 3rd attack. So having these, we can commit on that 3rd and then re-ready as sort of free resources has been very nice. So you could certainly consider playing more of them. The Cast Submission, it's a 6 check. And it's some more free damage pump when we discard it. Maybe the Avoiding Conflict should just be more copies of these as actual foundations and 6 checks. But again, it was just sort of splitting the difference, really. A couple of Unexpected Heroes. So again, low blocks. It's extra damage pump if we need it, or speed pump if we need it. Speed hate if we need it. Obviously, when we're committing them out, sometimes we can afford to -3 speed something and just get it 3 extra damage. And sometimes we can draw a card. So, you know, pretty decent all around. A Single Pass-Through Walls. Again, it's a 6 check. Stops their breakers trying to break up our combo. Stops their capes and VMEs and things that they might want to use to try and interact with our focused attacks. Probably could do with maybe having another one in here if I could find space. But yeah, Pass-Through Walls is always pretty solid to have. Always cool. I always like having it, especially in a deck that isn't really trying to be too defensive, just as a way of maybe stopping a problem card getting out of hand and just saying, look, I'm not going to block this, but it's not getting more damage, so I don't have to. And sometimes when, you know, they poke and you know they're not sort of selling out, you can just build 2 and say, I've now got the resources to then kill you on my turn. So sort of double duty in that sense. A Single Hacker, again, a way of dealing with problem assets like things like Cape and VME, and Momentum out. The momentum generation isn't really relevant just because we don't have huge amounts of spending it apart from one itself. And it also just draws a card. So, you know, it does everything you sort of need in one little package. So again, could find a second, but I think 1 is fine. And then we've got 6 of the 2 diff when you discard, draw a card. Feral Shriek sort of being the best one, the new one, because it does actually have an ability in stage where Steel Muscle doesn't. 6 has been fine. You know, we don't necessarily see them, but we don't necessarily need to see them, just because we do have a lot of plenty other card draw throughout with things like Valiant Assault, sometimes Cat Punch, Final Test, Settling Old Debts, Chivalrous. You know, we've got a lot of card draw here to refill our hand, so... But just having some of these has been good just as a freebie, even when we're sort of posturing, but we're just poking in to try and get some damage. Just being able to discard a card and not spend any of the resources, just replace itself to get that stun too has been good. So yeah, that's Paul as a list. Yeah, he's been fun. I mean, it's a fairly straightforward attack line. You know, we're not doing anything big or clever. We're just throwing a lot of punches. They're all in the mid zone and they're going to come in for a lot of damage. And then we've got, you know, focus attacks going to come in for a load of damage. We've got the pressing advantage is going to come in for a load of damage. And then once per turn, another thing is going to come in for a load of damage. And even things like Cat Punch is still doing 6 damage. Hardened Steel is hopefully doing 5 or 6. You know, Valiant Assault is the one they don't want to block because it's only coming in for 4. But if they don't, then you get to confirm your check. You know, Double Jumbo Fist is often coming in for 6 or 7. Big Fish Bash. Big Fish. I keep calling it Big Fish. I don't know why. Big Fist Bash is coming in for 5 probably when we're playing it as an attack. So, you know, there's just a lot of beefy punches, and that's sort of what Paul wants to do. He's just going to try and punch you in the face repeatedly, turn 2, turn 3, and hope that that's enough. So yeah, been pretty fun, been pretty cool, been done a little bit of testing locally, and it's been pretty solid. Probably not perfect, like I say. The avoiding conflicts probably the weakest one. They could probably just be more Mikasa submission as resources we can build and giving a 6 check and basically doing the same thing, given we're not doing anything else. So let's go and have a look at Attack on Titan 2, Origins of Power, and see if there's anything else we want to start including on this pool deck. So obviously he is all fire and order, so we get to play with any fire or ordered cards from the new set. So we'll go through the order I usually do. So when I'm building a deck is I look at actions and assets first and see what we've got. So range revelation, +4 damage, not really. Historia, committing another foundation, so that's something we could consider because it's a bit of targeted committal. Like the enhancer draw 2 cards is not ideal when we're trying to play a combo card. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to chuck. I've got my current deck pool. Yep, that's good. Anything that we could consider, I'm just going to put in the sideboard for now. High speed dodge, cancelling blitzes. I don't think so. We're not playing range attacks, so we don't want that. Build and calm my face, face down. Look at the top card of your deck. It does sort of ramp us out, but I don't think we want another asset in the deck. Again, I don't think we're really doing anything with soup to really justify it. We're not doing ranged attacks here, so we don't want Thunder Spear. Okay, so there's nothing there. So attacks are going to be very straightforward. We want punches, and we probably want mids. So let's have a look at anything we get in here. So Attack Titan's Haymaker. Oh, this is a good one, isn't it? This is one of the good ones because it's the new Haymaker. So stun 2. So this is effectively a stun 4. Cannot be blocked by cards difficulty 2 or less. It is the punch and then builds us a foundation once it goes through. Yeah, we're probably putting some amount of those in the deck, aren't we? But that's the only one. Is there any other punches we might want to consider? This attack deals damage. Your rival discards around a card, draws a card. No, it's not good enough to be a non-mid in our funny punch deck. Okay, and then lastly, we'll look at our foundations. So that's obviously come back up. So after this card, mill 4. No, we don't want that one. Sacrifice 1, -1 damage. For cycled. No, we're not really cycling. We're not doing backups and assets. Hopefully we're never going to have more committed foundations than our rival. So like these little kind of baby irrefutables are nice, but they're only ever going to be sideboard at best, I think. Like they're cool. Like seal deck things, I think, but I don't know if they're ever going to see playing standard. -2, -3 if it's got the air symbol. Nope, we don't want that one. No tact. Enhanced flip doesn't count towards the rest of each of our attacks. Only playable. No, I don't think so. It's a 3. After you check or mill an attack, add that attack to your hand. That might be okay, but it's a 3. I don't know. Like we're not milling, but checking an attack just to be able to pick it up. Pretty decent. Blank, we don't want that one. Flip for +3 damage is nice. But it's a 2/4. I don't think we want that one. We're not doing range or Titan. I don't think we want this. We're not really self-flipping anything. That's a blank. We don't want that one. We don't want the seal. We're not. Outwit's going to be tricky to find use in our deck, even if they're good, because again, we're not really building face downs. Flip for -1 speed and +1 damage. It's okay. Maybe. But we'll come back to that one. Again, I don't think we want this one. We're not really committing to pay costs, but so we don't want that one. We're not doing wall counters. That one might be quite nice, just to be able to stun 2 and then commit this to actually then commit their thing that matters. So consideration. I don't think we want this. This might be a nice little one-off, actually. If they play something, we then get to commit all of them. Titan Fury type we're not doing. This is a maybe, just because, again, we are trying to play a 7 diff here. First time split, draw a card. Again, I think our card draw actually is just better than this, because it's a 2. Again, I'll put it in the side just for thought. Commit for +3, I don't think we want. We don't want just pure deadlock. That's the outwit thing. Again, we're not really doing outwit stuff. Okay, so that's given us at least a few options to consider. So we do want to, I think we definitely want to play some amount of these, right? This seems really good. Yeah, because like just the mill to give plus to get damage as well, and especially when we're probably just face tanking a lot, it could easily be +2 damage. It builds us 1. It's a stun 4. Okay, so this is a high block, because if we look at our block zones, they're pretty decent. We don't have many high blocks on here. So I think I'm going to keep this in for now, maybe. I mean, yeah, these sort of... I think Cat Punch is probably what needs to go, and the pressing. So let's put this into the side. It was a little meme and didn't really feel great. I think I still want the hardened steels, despite the fact they're worse than Cat Punch, just because they got low blocks on. And then we'll set the Cat Punches in the side. And then we're just going to put 3 of these in as a 5. That gets us back up to 21 cards. Our block zones, how are they looking? Oh, actually, we've gone a bit too on the highs. That's okay. Like, usually we've got our attacks to be blocks. And I like to have a good split on my attack block zones. Yeah, I mean, Han Steel isn't great, but it is just... It's the role of it being a low block in my attack lineup. And yeah, I think 3 is probably fine because it is that 5 diff, but we're happy leading off with it. Like, we're pretty much, we've got double jumbo, hardened steel, attack titans, haymakers, and sometimes big fist bash. Not ideally, but like, those are our sort of 3 lead offs. And then we've got the rest of them that, balance always really wants to be played second. Big fist bash, we want to be playing 4th ideally. I guess that's the downs, but Cat Punch is always a good lead off as well. So yeah, I think that's fine. I think I'm happy with just putting 3 of those in for now. So we can just then remove that one from our sideboard, just to clean it up. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to cut these because they always felt like they got in the way, and I think it's just better to play 4 of these because it's the same block zone, but it is a 6 check and does exactly the same thing. Okay, so let's have a look at what we could. So I don't think I want Queen Historia as an action. It's okay, but again, I think our cards sometimes are a premium. I don't think this is probably good enough to play as a 3 diff. Erwin's Ruse for flipping something. Just like, we do have plenty of things we might build that are blank, so something to sort of flip them as a resource, I think might be okay, having 1 or 2 of those in there somehow. I don't know what we'd cut for it. We could probably cut one of these and we'll put in an Irwin's Ruse and then we might play around with numbers later. That's nice, but again, we want to have our resources to pass checks, really. I think a single copy of the Coronation might be nice just as a way of completely stunning them out, but we're stunning them a lot anyway, so we might not need it. But it is a little bit of deadlock, so yeah, maybe we'll try and fit one of those in. I don't think we want citywide, and I don't think we want growing unease. So I do think we want a single Historia. So we can probably cut a high block ideally. I think it's going to be one of these settling old debts. It hasn't been the greatest, and sometimes they're just not turned on. So I think that's okay, just as a brief change in terms of just putting a few of the new cards in. Obviously, the big get here is Attack Titan's Haymaker. Looks like it's going to be a good one to have in this deck because it's like a free activation of Paul, right? You know, we come in, we stun 2, we then stun 2 again, and it's going to build us a foundation, and it's 5 damage, and they can't block it with foundations effectively. So, yeah, I think that's going to be good. I think I'm happy with that. Like maybe finding a second copy of this, but I think just having the one of, just as a way of, you know, it's not a huge impact, but just being able to either use any of these blank foundations like Feral and Mikasas and Steel Muscle that we've built in, just being able to, and in theory, even things like Foresight, maybe even Easily Excited, just to like a lot of these things that can be quite blank in our stage, just being able to say, actually, I can flip them and actually get a benefit out of them. I think quite nice as having as a one-off. And then this is a little bit of extra deadlock threat. And just as a way of, you know, if they use something, as long as they've got 2 or 3 copies, we can just commit all of them. And, you know, a little bit of defensive stun sometimes. So, yeah, I think that would be where I'd now start from Origin to Power. Those are the changes I'd make. I think I'd still like to maybe find another copy of Pass Through Walls in here somewhere. Maybe another Psychic Spirit Glass. And, you know, I think you could easily play 4 of these and cut maybe a Valid Assault. But I've liked having just always being able to have one of these and just being able to draw those 2 cards because we're just discarding constantly. Again, you could maybe cut some of the discard payoffs. But again, I like having them in there. So, but yeah, I think this is where I'd start testing with Origins of Power and then sort of tweak from there and find things I do and don't like. So yeah, so this was my Paul Pheonix on all, doing the old funny punch things. Obviously, if you're watching this, then do that, all those YouTube algorithm things, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Obviously, all your support is much appreciated, and obviously come catch us out on the channel at twitch.tv/UKversus. We stream usually at 9 PM GMT on Sundays, sometimes on Tuesday, depending on sort of scheduling. But yeah, come catch us in the channel, and yeah, we'll see you next time.